Hello, Ghost Hunters! Let's talk about one of the most used items in Phasmophobia, the Crucifix. This item has gone through many changes since the release of Phasmophobia, but let's focus on the different tiers of crucifixes and determine which one is best. So starting with the Tier 1 crucifix, we have these simple sticks bound together to form a cross. This item has a smaller range with just 3 meters and only one use. Like all crucifixes, it is now consumable, meaning that once it's been burned, it will have to be replaced for future hunts. Simply placing the crucifix inside of a location will not consume it. It must burn to be consumed. It is also placeable to help players determine the area that is covered. The Tier 2 crucifix is very similar to the crucifix we had prior to the Ascension update. This item has a range of 4 meters, so slightly larger than the Tier 1. It also has 2 uses, so it provides double the protection of the Tier 1 crucifix. It is placeable so players can see the range of the crucifix. It is consumable and will be used up even if it only blocks one hunt. The Tier 3 crucifix has the largest range of protection at 5 meters. It prevents 2 normal hunts, or it can block 1 cursed hunt in exchange for completely using up the crucifix. Keep in mind that it only blocks the cursed hunt if it has not yet blocked any other hunts. In other words, your crucifix must still have 2 uses for it to block a cursed hunt. As with the previous crucifixes, it also is placeable and is consumed after blocking any hunts. One ghost is more highly affected by the crucifix. When placing the crucifix, players can see the default area of effectiveness for the tier of crucifix which they are placing. If your ghost happens to be a demon, despite the area shown by the crucifix, the area covered is 50% greater. In other words, the Tier 1 will cover 4.5 meters, the Tier 2 6 meters, and the Tier 3 will cover 7.5 meters. When a crucifix successfully blocks a hunt, it will burn and create an EMF reading. This EMF reading will always be a Tier 2 unless your ghost has a chance for EMF 5, which can be produced by a burning crucifix. So, it is wise to place the EMF near the crucifix if you are still waiting for evidence and there is a chance your ghost may hunt. Crucifixes provide one of the highest rewards for photos, only less than the photo of the ghost. If you are using a Tier 2 or a Tier 3 crucifix, you can take a photo of each crucifix after it blocks a hunt and burns each time, meaning players can have up to 4 burned crucifix photos. If you take your crucifix photo shortly after it burns, during the time that the crucifix is still emitting an EMF reading, then it will first count as an interaction photo and then count as a burned crucifix on the second photo. This means players could effectively get 8 photos from just 2 crucifixes. Crucifixes work while being held, dropped, or placed. In other words, the crucifix will work even if you drop it rather than place it, and if players are holding a crucifix, it can also block a hunt. I'm not sure if the crucifix will block a hunt when on the belt of a VR player though, and if you happen to know the answer to this, just let me know in the comments. Because the crucifix works while being held, I highly recommend that players hold the crucifix while entering locations until they get to the area they like to place it. This is especially true when playing games with no sanity. When the crucifix successfully blocks a hunt, the ghost cannot attempt to hunt again for 25 seconds. This, however, is not true for the demon, which can hunt at 20 seconds. For this reason, it is important to keep track of the time between burns when attempting to identify your ghost type. This is especially helpful in hunts where players have no evidence or limited evidence. Because of the large range of the Tier 3 crucifix, and even sometimes the Tier 2 crucifix, it can sometimes block hunts inside the location while still in the van. This is most common on the Edgefield map, as the side of the van closest to the house also holds the crucifixes and often covers the garage or even the upstairs bedroom. Overall, I highly recommend the Tier 3 crucifix. It provides the most protection to players overall, and while the blocking of a cursed hunt is handy, it really isn't something I personally have used in a normal hunt. But the extra coverage is nice, so I would recommend upgrading as soon as possible. My biggest complaint about the Tier 3 crucifix is that it isn't available until level 90, letting players use it for just 10 levels before they prestige. For most players, that leaves a small window of use before they're back to using the lesser tiers. How do you use the crucifixes? Do you have tips for players that I didn't mention here? Have you seen the crucifix burn in the van? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Remember to like and subscribe, and as always, happy hunting.